Hello everyone and welcome to another Sanguine Savory stream. This one's going to be the feast stream to finish out my Sanguine Start series. And this is going to be two of my oldest recipes. A fajita recipe using flank steak, which I've already done the prep work off camera for the most part. It was slicing up a lot of different peppers. I have a striped pepper, a red bell pepper, a green bell pepper, a yellow bell pepper, an orange bell pepper, all of that sliced up in this bowl. I have two small sweet onions that are very roughly chopped in here. And then some nice brown mushrooms that again are fairly roughly sliced up, kind of a rustic slice there. This is just how I prefer. You can cut things thinner if you like. I prefer the slightly rustic. So let me get these piled up and moved off to the side. So the star of the meal is, of course, going to be the flank steak that I have marinated in that absolutely beautiful flank steak marinade that I put out a video for yesterday.
Yep, I call it tasty green goo.
Yep. It's a hell of a lot of cilantro, a lot of garlic, lime zest, lime juice. It's absolutely delicious. So this is just going to be sitting out, coming a bit up to room temp before I start broiling that. So this will also be placed on the side to wait its turn. Then for the dessert, I'm going to be doing another thing that I've done for ages and ages and ages, which is macerated pineapple and berries that I'm going to saute and then serve up on some ice cream. So one thing that's just a bit of tip for everyone, when you're trying to pick a pineapple, what you want to do is you want to see that the innermost leaves of the pineapple pop out nice and easy like that. That'll let you know that it's ripe, because it's not always a nice yellow color. Sometimes it's still a deep green, and sometimes it's kind of a greenish brown. And all of those are still good, beautiful, ripe pineapple as long as those center leaves come out. So I'm just going to top the pineapple, and I'll set the head of it over there. There's a bunch of different ways that you could break down this pineapple. You could top and tail it and then peel it. You can do it all by hand and knife. I have a handy-dandy little gadget here that I'm going to be using, which is a pineapple corer as well as a pineapple slicer.
Huh. Fancy toys, huh?
So, yeah, it is a beautiful little gadget, especially if you break down a lot of pineapple. It saves you a good amount of time. All you do is you give a rotation as you're lightly pressing down on it, and it just drives through the pineapple, and then you give it a pull. It might try to stick a little bit, but just pull a bit harder, and you'll pull out nice little rings of pineapple, leaving the skin and that hard woody core. And what's really nice is when you do that, there's always a bit of juice in the bottom. So just go ahead and give yourself a nice little snack.
Carson catches it belongs on a pizza.
I have absolutely no problem with pineapple on pizza.
Neither do I.
It adds a nice little sweet acidity. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my knife and slice down the back of these ringlets, cutting them entirely into independent rings rather than this corkscrew of
So you don't want a pineapple slinky.
pineapple. Yeah, pineapple slinky is not quite what I'm going for. There we go. There's that. I'll just slide this down over that pineapple core again, just to get it out of the way. So now I have these pineapple rings, some of them broke in half as I was pulling them off. That happens perfectly fine. And I'm just going to slice these up into somewhat bite-sized chunks. Nothing really fancy about that. You can make them a little bit bigger, you can make them a little bit smaller. You just want them effectively bite-sized. If you have a tower of them that kind of stuck together, it works. You can break those down a lot quicker. But once I have these all chopped up bite-sized, I'll be ready to move on to the next step, which will be tossing this into a bowl and then getting the berries that I want prepped up as much as the berries need prepping. Strawberries are really the only one that need any real sort of prep work done to them. But I also have blueberries, blackberries, and raspberries. And of course, taste what you're making your food with.
So you're gonna make that stuff super tart, huh?
So this all goes in. Well, it's not going to be overly tart because it's going to be macerated, so it's going to have a lot of sugar and some whiskey poured into it.
Oh.
You can use whatever your preferred alcohol is. For me, my preferred is always going to be whiskey. So I have some beautiful, beautiful strawberries here. I just realized how dim my work surface is. Let me get some more light down on it.
Did you get those from the farmer's market?
These I didn't get from the farmer's market because the berries have just gone out of season in my area.
Yeah.
But I was able to, for those who don't know, I stopped at a farmer's market today, and I was able to pick up some beautiful Mangalisa pork, which I am definitely going to enjoy. So I have a couple Mangalisa pork chops in my refrigerator. Also picked up some nice cheese and some beef snack sticks. So the breakdown of the strawberries is really easy. You're just going to top them, and any portions that look like they've gone a bit soft or have any issues that make them less than appetizing, just slice off those bad spots. And those are going to go straight down into the same bowl that I put the pineapple in. And depending on the size of the strawberry, sometimes I'll just have them after that. Sometimes I'll quarter them. It all depends on individual strawberry size. Because again, I want these to be bite-sized.
You don't pull out the core first?
Nope, I don't care about anything like that when it comes to the strawberries. Just taking the top off tends to be enough.
All right.
Everything else is good to go on these normally. Like I said, you'll always end up with a couple bad spots in your package of berries.
Yeah.
And
Where they've been sitting.
yeah, and also for some people will buy berries and they'll use them later on in the week. For me, berries have always been kind of like buying fish. When I buy berries, I'm going to use them, and I'm going to use them soon, and I'm going to use them quick.
I usually use an egg slicer to try to chop my strawberries up.
That's another good way. It just depends on if you have one of those handy or
Yeah.
how you like to cook. I like to do a lot of stuff by hand just because I enjoy the process of cooking. And there's something almost therapeutic about it.
Yeah.
Just that rhythmic chunk of the knife against the cutting board. So once you break down all your strawberries and they're tossed in with your pineapple, then you're going to start adding in your other berries as well. And like I said, I have blueberries, blackberries, and raspberries to add to this as well. None of those really need any sort of processing. All you tend to have to do with those is, as you're going to add them in, and already that looks rather lovely, just the yellow of the pineapple and the red of the strawberry. I just kind of double check the berries as I'm adding them in, because again, you'll end up with a bad berry here and there, even if you just bought your container. That happens fairly often. So just give your berries a very quick, easy inspection as they go. And I did rinse these off before I came on camera. You always want to give... Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, you just want to leave the dirt on it, so that's flavor.
I somewhat feel that way when it comes to mushrooms. I don't always take the time to make sure that my mushrooms are cleaned off. The berries, I tend to just toss them underwater, especially since the berry containers function as their own little
strainer,
so it works rather easily. There go in my blackberries, and again, just as you toss them in, make sure that there aren't any obviously bad, mushy, or moldy ones. Go ahead.
Well, don't blackberries and raspberries have a lot of seeds in them?
They do, but they're typically inside that nice little bit of flesh. So you get a seed in your teeth every now and then.
Yeah.
But I've never really been overly worried about that. And then once the blackberries are in, do the same with the raspberries. Give them a once over and toss them in. Raspberries tend to be the ones that I find the most wrong with. I'm not sure why that is, but they seem to go bad really damn fast. So like that one has a soft spot that I'm going to have to cut out. So does that one. The raspberries will be almost entirely disintegrated by the time that this is done. The blackberries break down a fair bit, but they still have some texture to them. The strawberries, pineapple, and blueberries hold up rather well. But when the raspberries break down, they break down in a way that just makes everything delicious.
Yeah. I made a mead with raspberries before.
Ooh, very nice.
Yeah.
That's one thing that at some point I'm going to have to find the time, get the equipment, and space to try my hand at some brewing.
Yeah. It depends how much you want to do.
Because there's a lot of old style meads and various other alcohols that have gone out of fashion that I really want to bring back. That one actually doesn't have that much of a bad spot. This one does. So if you find a bad spot, just very carefully slice the bad spot out. It does make the raspberry a bit less structurally sound, but
You're gonna smash it anyway.
it's going to end up dissolving into the sauce that this forms. So there's all my berries and my pineapple in that bowl. Looks rather beautiful with that difference in color. Let me quickly get rid of the severed portions. There we go. And now then, I forgot to grab out my sugar.
Huh.
So, to this bowl of berries, you're going to add a fuck ton of sugar. That is a very specific scientific measurement. And I'll probably be adding more sugar as this goes. So add sugar in, give it a mix. Let me grab a glove. And I'll just get my hands straight into this. Because you want that sugar distributed over the berries. Pretty much every single berry getting coated. And all the pineapple getting coated as well. That did a fair job of that.
Are you using regular sugar or like fine granulated sugar?
You can use fine sugar, you can use regular sugar, you can use pretty much any type of sugar. I wouldn't faff around using powdered sugar, but any other type of sugar would work beautifully with this. So the reason why you're adding sugar is you want to pull out a lot of the moisture within this, because the pineapple and the berries all have a lot of liquid in them. And as it pulls out that liquid, it creates its own little syrup, which is absolutely delicious. And when I throw this into the hot pan, that syrup is going to start to caramelize around the pineapple and the strawberries and the blueberries, and it's going to congeal up a fair bit and just create this unbelievably delicious sauce. And then to this, I'm also going to add a splash of whiskey. I'm using Jameson whiskey in this application. You can use whatever your preferred alcohol is. You can use whiskey, you can use rum, you can use tequila, vodka, anything like that. Just pick something that you enjoy the flavor of, and we'll add a nice flavor to the berries as well. And now this is just going to be sitting out, letting some of the moisture get pulled out. Every now and then you want to mix it round, see if there's still enough sugar in it, If there is, fantastic. You can leave it be for a bit longer. If it looks like all the sugar has been absorbed into the liquid that comes out, add a bit more sugar because you really want to pull out the excess fluid. And it will start producing a syrup fairly quick. I mean, even I just threw that sugar in, and I did splash a fair bit of whiskey in, but that is not all whiskey. That's already that syrup coming out of this. So let me set this off to the side, because that's good to just sit now. Let me get rid of these. And we'll go back to talking about the star of this meal once I get some space on the table for it. So have you done fajitas from scratch before, Useless?
Not from scratch, no. I made my own marinated before. I usually just buy the steak already cut.
Mm-hmm. Ah, Shady wasn't here to hear the menu for the night.
Yeah.
So the menu for tonight's meal is I'm going to be making my fajitas, which are one of my oldest recipes. And then I'm going to be making a dessert, which is that berry and pineapple blend that I've just made, which I'll be throwing into a hot skillet, sauteing up, and then topping some ice cream with it. So my broiler pan has a little bit of battle damage, but it's still good. Still good. Won't cause any problems.
It just adds flavor, that's all.
Yep. So going back to the meat. This meat can be grilled, it can be broiled. Those are the best two ways of dealing with it. I wish I had a grill available that I could go out and grill this up on.
You don't have like an indoor grill?
I do, but there's some interesting regulations with the building that I'm not 100% sure if they would be okay with me using an indoor grill. So I'm going to be erring on the side of safety and just going to be broiling up this beautiful flank steak. The marinade that has actually touched the meat, you don't use. You just throw that bag of marinade out. But this meat smells amazing. You just get hit by garlic and cilantro and that olive oil and the lime zest and juice smells. It is fantastic. So I'm going to move this over into my kitchen, and I'm going to give it a couple moments longer to come up to temp before I throw it in to broil in my oven. And I'm going to throw it in on the highest rack with my oven on its highest broil setting.
Are you going to make your own tortillas?
That is the one part that I'm not going to be doing from scratch for this meal. Well, that and the cheese.
Yeah.
But everything else is going to be done from scratch. That flank steak I threw into a marinade that I made in a video that I put out last night. When it comes out, I'll let it rest a few moments, then I'll slice it up. And when I slice it up, it's going to go into all the other ingredients, which I will have sauteed by that point.
Nice.
And speaking of sauteing, let me make some more room because I'm going to need a couple more cast iron skillets on my stove top. So this is a case of, depending on how much of this you're making, you might be able to do it all in one large cast iron skillet or one large skillet in general. But I have a horrible inability to actually make one serving of this meal. It's always big, and it always takes a lot of space because I have, that'll show up in the camera a bit better. I have all this onion, all those mushrooms, all these beautiful peppers. Like I said, I have red, green, yellow, orange, and striped bell pepper. And just to make sure that they cook up properly, I'm going to have to split them between a couple different skillets. But I have a little bit of time as I let the steak come a bit closer to room temperature. And as I let the skillets that I've placed on my burner heat up. I already have one up to temperature. The other one I forgot to throw on, so it'll take a little bit to get up to temperature. So, chat, how do you guys like your fajitas? Do you like your fajitas with cheese? Do you like it without cheese? Are you a corn or flour tortilla type of person? And what sort of dessert do you typically like after having fajitas? For me, it has to be this berry mix with ice cream because just goddamn, it's delicious. And I'm a bit biased because, again, these are two of my oldest recipes.
Now you just use flour tortillas.
Flour tortillas, those are the same type that I'm going to be using.
I save corn for the tacos, not for the fajitas. So.
Mm-hmm. And I do the big burrito tortillas because I want nice, big, chunky fajitas.
Yeah.
Let me adjust my camera so that you guys can see not only what I'm doing in here, but also the kitchen, because it's going to start getting a bit more lively over there in a moment or two. And let me click down to here.
Yep, Shady says he likes flour tortillas and cheese. Always cheese.
Yep. For me, it's always a case of they need cheese as well. I know a lot of people seem to not do cheese on their fajitas, but
I usually don't want fajitas. Because you don't want to cover up the taste of the meat. So.
true. But with this marinade and that meat, it is really difficult to cover up the taste of flank steak with that marinade.
Your name kind of covers up your picture-in-picture.
Oh, it does. Let's see. That work better?
Yep.
And in that case, what I'll do is I'll move around the metal bowl so that you guys can see the ingredients that way. So once the meat's to room temperature, which you always want to start with meat at about room temperature, since that will prevent it from cooking unevenly. If you have it really cold, fresh from the refrigerator, it tends to affect the cooking rather profoundly. So you'll have the outside almost burnt with the inside completely raw. It also affects how the liquids are released. So you want to have your meat at about room temperature. A little bit lower isn't a problem, but a lot lower, no, that's bad news.
Yeah.
And hello, Wikipedia. So, just to, let's see, would a fajita that was stored in a fridge be a facolda? That, I think that just killed part of me. That was a painfully bad pun there.
Pasparella says she's on her way.
Fantastic. So, once my pans are up to heat and once my steak's good to throw in, I'll be getting that going. The steak again is going to be going under my highest temperature broil on the top rack to get some color on one side, pull it out, flip it over, get some color on the other side. Then that'll be pulled out and rested. It doesn't have to cook all the way through in this portion because it is going to be thrown back in with everything else that's going to be sauteed.
And you have a gas oven?
Unfortunately, no. I have an electric.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah, I wish I had a gas. But at least I don't have one of those induction cooking tops.
Oh, yeah. Those are annoying.
Fucking hate those things. Especially since if you have an induction cooking top, one of the glass top ones, you can't use cast iron.
Yeah.
If you try to use cast iron, you will destroy that surface. It will shatter, and you'll have to pay a fair bit of money in order to get that replaced, which I just hate them.
Yeah.
Okay. So, looks like the oven's about right. This you definitely want to use a oven mitt for.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how asbestos your fingertips are. That will burn the ever-living shit out of you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I could pull hot tortillas off the pan with my hands, but that's a different story.
Yep. Let me readjust my camera views. And let's see if I can...
Too bad you can't have your camera in your inside your oven.
That'd be awesome if I was able to, but I can't even have one facing the front of the oven because I have a solid front oven.
Oh.
So all you'd be able to tell is, yep, that oven door's closed. So let me grab up my ingredients. I'll keep the mushrooms front and center for right now. Now,
Yeah,
oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say I'm not a big fan of cooked mushrooms.
See, I absolutely love them in this fajita.
Yeah.
they add a nice umami little bite of flavor that I love mushrooms in general, but especially in this. Oh, goddamn, I love mushrooms.
Oh, Prospero said she's backstage.
Oh, let me pop her in. Hello, Prospero.
Oops. Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing rather well, and yourself?
Doing well, thank you. Hi, useless.
Hey.
So
Sorry, I'm late. Weekend thingies and stuff.
Not
It
a problem.
happens.
So into the hot skillet, you want to add a high temperature oil. I just had a bit of grape seed oil that does not have an accelerant in its spray, which is fantastic. So I'm able to spray that directly onto the pan without any aid. And you just want to get those onions in there. You want to get them to start moving. But you want to get a little bit of that really hot pan char on the onion. So it will end up slowing down how much of that char you get as it stays in the pan, just by nature of how much onion I'm making. So, Prospero,
Yes,
have you heard what the menu is for tonight?
I heard something about fajitas.
You sound all
Yeah.
flustered about that.
Well, I sound sad that I am not your next door neighbor, so that I could just come in, bonk you on the head, and take your food away.
So, I have two of my oldest recipes that I came up with. It's my fajitas, which I did the fajita marinade in a video that I put out last night.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm doing the full preparation of them, minus the marinade. And yes, umami is savory, but savory doesn't quite encompass the sum of umami.
You get a lot from seaweed too. So.
Yes.
Yeah, umami is almost that indefinable extra something.
It's savory and earthy.
And it's, Worcestershire sauce.
Yeah.
Worcestershire sauce is kind of a shot of umami, if you think about it.
MSG is supposed to be unami, they say, so.
Because it's got salt, it's got rich, dark flavors. It's got everything going.
So, the
Excuse me.
recipe for my fajitas is fairly simple, but it requires a good number of ingredients.
Well,
So
yeah. Fajitas are kind of busy business.
Yep.
Yeah.
And mine are definitely no exception.
I wouldn't expect them to be, dear sir.
So
My
I have,
stepmom used to make them all the time. So.
Lucky you.
Yeah. That's the best part about growing up in South Texas. Yeah.
Yeah.
so
People know
in
how to
mi-
cook all the good food.
Yeah.
In mine, it's mushrooms and onions and a bunch of different types of bell peppers.
Oh, yeah, you're using the stoplight peppers.
The bare minimum that I use are the red, yellow, green.
Yeah,
But-
I tend to go with the orange, red, yellow because I can't trust green peppers not to be bitter. But then again, a little bitter wouldn't kill it.
Well, I'm going for the 5 stack today.
Oh, good Lord.
So it's red, yellow, orange, green, striped, also sometimes called harlequin.
Oh, cool.
I've never had striped peppers before.
Yeah,
Makes
the
it-
striped peppers are a bit interesting. Here, let me pull out a...
I have never seen one in our stores.
I
Isn't it?
unfortunately already broke down the entire striped pepper.
Oh,
but
that's
let me swap the cameras around again for a moment.
Oh, okay. So is it like yellow, orange to red?
It's like a yellow, orange, and red all in one pepper.
Oh, that's kind of neat. I wonder if it was just one of those accidental crossovers because people were planting multiple rainbow peppers next to each other.
Good.
It's lovely because it's just, especially in a chiffonade strip, it just
Yep.
adds that little bounce of color. Cool. I'm gonna keep my eyes peeled around here.
Yeah.
And it has a bit more complex flavor than any of the three individually, of course.
Mm-hmm.
So I was able to find them. I threw them into my fajitas this time.
It's weird because it's a delicate difference in bell peppers.
Mm-hmm.
The yellow bell peppers really are kind of lemony,
Mm-hmm.
and the orange are sweet. They're just sweet, and the reds have a slightly darker flavor, but not toward the bitter like green goes. So yeah, I could see that it would be a little lemony sweet dark, if it or at least lemony sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, you missed the very beginning where I started making the dessert,
Oh, uh-oh.
which is
This is what I get for being late. Oh, good Lord, fruit yum.
beautiful berry and pineapple.
Oh, that's the perfect accompaniment. Sweet and tart.
Yep. So what I'm doing is I'm macerating the berries and pineapple in a, again, very scientific term when talking about this, a fuck ton of sugar,
Yes.
and then a healthy splash of whiskey.
Ooh.
Once the juices have kind of come out a fair bit and I have a good amount of liquid in the bottom, that's all going to be tossed into a screaming hot skillet.
Ooh, yay, to just get a little char on it.
No, Wikipedia's asking your question.
Yeah, that's a
Oh,
good.
what's
that
he
is-
asking?
He said now they are just bell peppers in different stages of ripeness. No, actually, if you don't mind my answering, they're distinct. They're distinct. Some greens will turn to red, but as far as the lemon bell peppers, orange bell peppers, they're unique.
It's kind of like how the apples are different.
Yeah.
They're all apples, but they have different flavor.
Yep,
Yeah.
and
Different degree of appleness and different texture to some extent.
Softness and darkness.
I think the lemon and orange seem to have a higher water content, and the reds and the greens are firmer.
Yeah.
And again, just to show people what I was talking about, because I mentioned that these put out a lot of liquid, or that this puts out a lot of liquid fairly early on, the berry macerated. So just a few minutes have gone by, and I already have a fair bit of that syrup in the bottom.
Oh, yum yum! Whiskey sugar syrup with fruit notes. How delightful!
So are you also making your own ice cream?
I'm not going to be making my own ice cream this time. Though ice cream is fairly easy to make.
Oh, yeah.
But I am probably going to just decide to get a bit of a bug up my ass and make my own whipped cream very quickly towards the end of this.
Of course.
Speaking of, if I do intend to make my own whipped cream,
You may
I need to throw
a metal bowl into the freezer.
a bowl in the freezer, as well as my whisk.
Because the chillier, the better.
Yep. So now I have those in my freezer. You can see how the onion is getting a nice caramelization.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bit of an inconsistent caramelization. It isn't a like jammy onion
Right.
Yeah.
caramelization. It's just wherever it comes in contact with the heat the most, it's getting that nice brown bits there, and that's exactly what you want for this. So, into the same one that the onions are currently cooking in, I'm going to throw the mushrooms, which again are a fairly rustic slice of mushroom. You don't need to be really fancy with your slicing, and personally I think that a rough slice of mushroom for this works better than a really fine, beautifully symmetrical slice that you would do for a number of other meals. This one, the jankiness kind of adds character.
Oh yeah, I think of fajitas as being definitely a rustic dish.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. It turns out to be pretty because I think the peppers make it pretty, but it's about the flavor, not the look.
Yep, it's all the contrasting notes in its appearance that really makes it a beautiful dish. I mean, just look at the peppers by themselves.
Oh yeah, those alone in a bowl are just like a little pile of happiness.
They look absolutely beautiful just by themselves. And that's not even counting the color differences between the onions and the mushrooms against them. The meat, which needs a bit more time on that side. And as I said earlier, you don't need to get the meat fully cooked through at this point.
Right.
Because that meat is going to come out, I'm going to rest it for a little bit, and then I'm going to slice it. And then those slices are going to go back in with everything else.
Right.
And what I tend to do is I'll rest it on a plate where I can catch all the juices.
Oh, yeah, just pour it right on in with the meat.
Exactly.
Yum, yum. I know I've missed so much, and I'm sorry to make you repeat yourself. What cut of meat are you using?
It is a flank steak.
That's what I presumed, but I didn't want to say anything before.
Yeah, there's two cuts that I recommend using for fajitas. Flank and skirt.
Skirt, yep.
But I personally go for flank steak when it comes to fajitas, because skirt steak can be turned into a score of even better creations.
Yeah.
Especially since skirt is a little bit more tender than flank steak.
Mm-hmm.
Part of the reason why it's more tender is the way that its muscle fibers are put together. So flank steak has these long, longitudinal muscle fibers.
Uh-huh.
So they run down the entire length from one end to the other, which it's a delicious piece of meat. If you treat it right, it can still get tender.
Yes.
But if you fuck up at all...
Yeah, it's shoe leather.
Yeah.
It's horrible. It's like a fucked up London broil.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same kind of thing where you just end up with this fibrous, I think once upon a time this belonged to a cow.
Mm-hmm.
kind of taste. Yeah, it's is it flank or is it skirt steak that's used in ropa vieja? Do you know?
I think that's typically skirt.
I thought so. Yeah, because it doesn't seem to require the same degree of pre-treating. Although I've seen recipes for it done in pressure cookers as a quick way to get it.
Well, skirt steak is also a very muscly piece of meat.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason why it tends to be a bit easier to do without making it tough is the direction of the muscle fibers.
Yeah.
So, like I said, when you're talking about a flank steak, I'll just use my utensil. So, pretend that there's a piece of flank steak that big. So when you're talking about flank steak, it's running this way in the flank steak.
Mm-hmm.
The edge, or from the tip to the tail, effectively. Whereas when you're talking skirt steak, this long, it's running this way. So you end up being able to cut those muscle fibers very easily, very short, in these nice, long, pleasant-looking strips.
Mm-hmm.
That a flank steak,
Yeah, you do that and you might
it's,
chewing gum.
yeah,
Yeah.
you've ruined your steak.
Wikipedia in this chat.
I like that. Skirt steak reminds me of Lady Gaga's meat outfit.
That's an entirely different use of skirt steak. And it is in much poorer taste.
Yeah, what a waste of meat.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me check the steak again. Okay, so that's what it looks like right now. After just being cooked on the one side. Getting some nice coloration, some nice slight charred bits on the steak. So now what we're going to do is flip this son of a bitch over.
Aligning your food like that. Tisk.
Oh, this channel ain't kid friendly.
No kidding.
I marked it to say that it wasn't.
Yeah, so did I. Even though I don't cuss in my videos. It's better safe than sorry.
Yes.
See, I curse in my cooking videos, and also I make food sound absolutely lascivious at certain times.
Yes, that would not be kid friendly.
Yeah.
And you definitely don't want a kid watching one of my videos and going, you know what? I kind of want to fuck a flank steak now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Jolly good. I'll poke mine in the mashed potatoes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, sorry.
You don't want kids playing with their food in that way.
No. You don't want repeats of American Pie?
Nah. Especially not with my proclivity to forget that something has just come out of the oven.
Uh-huh.
Because how many times have I, on one of my cooking videos, been going, and be careful because this did just come out, so you have to be a bit patient, but...
Yeah, it's like yum, fuck, yum, fuck, yum, fuck. That's just...
I don't want to wait.
Yeah, that's man, that can be resting meat.
Yeah.
Is a test of patience. That's why it's always nice to be doing something else while the meat is resting. Because otherwise you're like, but I want to cut, don't you dare cut that piece of meat.
Well, same for anything you cook, like pizza and lasagna and whatever. You want it at rest or it just falls apart.
Yeah. It's that waiting bit.
Yeah.
So this would be the point where if you want pepper in your dish, you can add some pepper in. If you're going to be using any powdered seasoning, some powdered garlic or anything like that, You want to add that now. You don't want to add that earlier. You will burn the ever-living shit out of whatever you try to add.
Oh yeah, God! And imagine like if you were tossing chili powder in there, that stuff tastes horrible when it's burned.
Yep. So I'm just going to sprinkle in effectively my normal garlic blend.
Color me stunned.
So black garlic, white garlic, smoked garlic, roasted garlic.
Anaphylaxis garlic.
Well, there are several other types of garlic.
I'm kidding.
I could throw in some Creole garlic, some elephant garlic, some stiff neck garlic, some, let's see, get some wild bear garlic, throw in wild bear garlic.
Not to mention ramps.
Yep. Which you shouldn't confuse with ransom, which is wild bear garlic.
Huh. Never had wild garlic before. So.
Wild bear garlic is actually not as closely related as most of the other garlics. But it has this fantastic garlicky flavor while looking like a leafy green.
Mm-hmm.
We could say it's a diverse garlic community.
Yeah, it's a very diverse garlic community.
What's the other one? Scapes? Scapes are the garlic leaves, if I remember correctly, right?
Oh, I'll look it up. That's what I'm here for.
Sora for. She knows all about food.
Scapes, garlic. It's amazing that's one of the first things that came right up. Yep. Garlic scapes start to form a month or so after the first leaves. They start off growing somewhat straight and then curving in circles.
Yep. Like I said, it's effectively garlic leaves.
Yeah, and they're good to cut because it diverts plant strength from the actual garlic bulb.
Also, they're good to cut because they are delicious.
Well, yes, it serves two purposes. You get a better, larger bulb, plumper bulb, and you get a
okay. So once
extra
again,
garlic.
There's the meat after coming out from its second time under the broiler. Yeah. Still a fair bit of coloration. You have a nice kind of dark bit here. You have some good coloration elsewhere, but it's not cooked through by any stretch of the imagination. It's still very soft. Smells absolutely amazing. So this is just going to be moved off to the side. Then I'm going to
Rest it.
get a plate. Grab my fork that I used a couple moments ago.
You don't have tongs?
I do have tongs, but I'm using the fork right now. And as you can see, this is a nice, large piece of flank steak.
Holy hell, it is.
So I'm going to let that rest so that it can come down to a more manageable temperature. Also allow the juices to redistribute inside, as well as just give it some time to let the flavors bloom a little bit more. Then I'm going to slice that, and that's going to get thrown in with this fantastic mix of peppers and onion, mushrooms,
Nom nom.
garlicky goodness. And once the meat gets thrown in, That's when, if you reserved some cilantro from when you were making your marinade, you can throw cilantro on top. Or what I did, and what I recommended doing in my marinade video, was rather than reserving some cilantro, I just reserved some of this amazing marinade that has never touched the meat.
Mm-hmm.
So it is good to just toss in with everything else. And that'll add some more cilantro flavor to it, some more garlic flavor to it, and just that punchiness of the
Fresh herbs. The
habanero and jalapeno
Oh, yeah.
that went into it.
See,
Remember, kidlets, if you ever want to use part of your marinade as a finishing bit to your meal, make sure that you set it aside before you put your meat in, because the marinade that the meat has been in has got to be disposed of, because it will make you sick.
Yeah, it will make you horrendously ill if you try to eat it. So now that pepper blend with the cheese, or with the onions and mushrooms and just the deliciousness on my stovetop, is at a point where I'm able to turn down the temperature and just let it sit for a little bit without really having to worry that it's going to burn the ever-living crap out of what's in here. But you can see the nice dark color or caramelization on the mushrooms.
Mm-hmm.
The onions have caramelized a bit more. The peppers are still nice and vibrant, but they're also getting some caramelization. So turn that down to low. You don't want it any higher than low. Now we're going to come back in here, see how much liquids come out of the berry and pineapple mix, which, let me flip my cameras back to the other way.
Ooh, yum.
And let me move that down there because that can just sit in there. So you can see that nice, deep red. Ooh, spilled a little bit.
Oh, that is a sin against God and man.
I know.
Lick it up.
he will later, probably.
He can't. It's that would not be sanitary. We are always
Nope,
trying to use proper.
sadly.
Just use a paper towel and then suck on the paper towel.
Need to
Dirt
clean
just
that
has
up with
flavor.
a paper towel.
I know
But-
that's. Oh, that's alcohol abuse. God damn it.
Just the smallest little spill of it.
Yeah.
But it is looking good. I can add in a little bit more sugar just to bring out a bit more of the liquid. So let me grab my sugar down again. This time you don't need to add a fuck ton. You just need to add about a fuck ton.
A fuck ton. You can skip the CK.
Yeah. It's not a full fuck ton, but it's still a good amount of sugar.
That is a liberal dusting.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And just kind of toss it again. Make sure that everything gets coated. Let it sit. You can already see raspberries are just disintegrating.
Yay. Mm.
And once it goes into the hot pan, those raspberries are going to completely fucking disappear.
Yeah, but they'll melt into all that lovely goodness.
Yep, they will be in the bottom of that sauce. Just giving flavor to everything else. That pineapple won't be that bright yellow anymore.
It's like you're making your own bizarre framboise.
Mm-hmm. And what is absolutely beautiful about this is one of the things that I'm going to do, and you'll see this, I add a bit of a really good jam or preserve into it, which gives it a little bit more body. And also, when you store it, it does kind of congeal into loose preserve almost.
Oh, yeah, because, I mean, the fruit's releasing pectin,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
too, so... You know, it's one of the interesting things about cranberries. If anybody's made fresh cranberry sauce, you notice how it will congeal when stored. It's because it's got a fuck ton. Another technical term of pectin.
Yep.
Yeah.
You do not need to add pectin if you're making a cranberry preserve.
I'm actually planning on making some pomegranate jelly. Because
Nice.
my roommates, they have a pomegranate tree. So we have a bunch of pomegranates to use. So.
Oh, I'm jealous. I love pomegranates.
Yeah.
So now this is a bit of a waiting game because the peppers are good. I can't just start cutting into this steak right away.
Yeah.
I have to let it rest a bit. This is still macerating, just letting those flavors blend. And like I said, you'll see at the end, the pineapple will not be this beautiful yellow color anymore. It will be absolutely dyed by the blackberries and raspberries and just that lovely pinkish red sauce in the bottom into deliciousness.
Yee.
Nice.
About how long do you rest the meat? 20 minutes?
I don't give it that long.
Okay.
I give it about 5 to 10 minutes, depending. And then,
so you don't have to rest at the traditional length of most meat resting.
no, I don't give it the full resting period for this. Especially since it's going to go back in and be cooked even more.
Yeah. And you'll be collecting juices anyway. So.
Yep, and pouring those in as well. So I just want to give it a long enough rest that it doesn't
bleed out when you cut it.
Exactly. A lot of liquid will come out, but I don't want all the liquid to come out.
Yeah. And that's why you don't freeze strawberries.
You can freeze strawberries depending upon what you intend to use them for on the back end.
Yeah. Well, if I make ice cream, then I do freeze them because I want the juice to be in the ice cream. So.
And if you're using them for, like a smoothie or a daiquiri, they're fine if they're frozen. And they don't look great, but if you don't mind strawberry milk on your cereal, you can freeze strawberries and melt them in a bowl, toss the cereal in, then the milk, and it'll be like a fruity bowl of happiness.
Yeah.
I'd separate them on a cookie sheet when I freeze them, slide them in that way, and then bag them so they don't congeal in a blob together.
Yeah.
That works well with blueberries too, and blackberries and raspberries as well.
Okay, so this is almost ready for me to plunk it down onto my cutting board.
Blueberries freeze brilliantly.
Yeah.
So do grapes. This is killing me. I want that hunk of meat.
Yep.
People out there develop transporter technology.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
I can just Zelle my payment over and boom, there it is.
Yep.
At least replicators, so you get whatever you want.
Yeah, nah, I kind of want, I never tell you, well, Let's not get into the science of transport.
Yeah.
See, what you really want, rather than doing a teleportation, is you want a wormhole.
Yes, that's true, because then it comes to me in its original form. It isn't broken down and
Constituted.
Yeah, thank you. I was like, what's the word? Nouns. I need a noun.
You want a wormhole so that it can pass through in its original state. And also, wormholes would revolutionize communication tech.
Yeah.
Because pop a shit ton of zero-width wormholes around as your communication infrastructure, and you have virtually instantaneous transmission of information.
Yee.
Because the zero-width wormhole is small enough, nothing can pass through it except for
The
electro
Yeah.
signals.
Oh well. Bloody. I'll be
What
dead.
was that?
I said, bloody fuck, I'll be dead before that comes around.
No,
That-
you just need to hope that rejuvenation tech comes.
Yeah, I don't know, man. If it means I have to watch the Patriots run a ball up the field, I don't think I want to live forever. They were down 10-0, and now,
Okay, so
sorry if there are any Patriots fans out there, but I freaking hate them.
Sports.
Yep. Hand egg. I'm
you
addicted
can
to hand
see
egg.
that lovely juice that
Oh.
didn't seep out.
Yeah.
That will be getting poured right back in.
I will not lick the screen.
You want to taste that dirty screen anyway.
I know. It wouldn't taste like lovely beef juice.
Slice into this. And this was why you heard the shink.
Yes, of
Let it go.
sharpening.
Do you cut with the grain or against the grain?
I'm cutting against the grain.
Okay.
And this you do want to cut fairly thin strips of. That is probably the thickest. One of those two would be the thickest that you want to cut it. Because the thinner of the strip that you cut, the shorter the muscle fibers.
Yeah.
So the easier it'll be to bite through. And you can see the absolutely lovely red of that.
Looks brilliant.
Slice through that, push to the side. This is one of the thickest flank steaks that I've ever been able to find, by the way.
I was gonna say that is just an amazing flank steak.
Yeah.
It looks like a chuck roast, from distance, except not as much fat. It's just good lord.
Wicked in the chat says, is asking, is screen licking the variant of window licking?
Well, yes, probably. Which is why I was telling myself not to.
I think it all depends on what prompts the screen licking.
Well, yeah, I think I could be forgiven for that lovely meat and its lovely juice.
So just keep on slicing into these nice strips. Just trying to make sure that I can divert some of this liquid that's trying to run to the edge. Because I want to preserve that liquid to pour back in. I don't want any of that just dripping onto my boots and my carpet.
Well, yes, for multiple reasons.
And that's why there's no carpets in the kitchen.
And again, as I say with pretty much everything that I show how to make, taste everything.
Mm-hmm.
Repeatedly.
Mm-hmm. You always want to have at least 2 tastes to make sure that it's good.
Yeah, especially for salt
Mm-hmm.
and your other the potent seasoning flavors that you want to be forward in the dish.
Mm-hmm. This is trying to.
Oh no! Don't leave! Don't!
I know, which is why I'm
No
angling
dribbles!
away,
No dribbles!
and
No
I'm
dribbles!
going to move to my kitchen, doing a
Quick step.
seesaw.
Yeah.
Got most of it. There was a little bit that came off the edge right as it was going into the pack.
Nope. That's still a pretty good save.
Considering how it looked like it was going to go.
Yeah, everywhere. I have a large wooden cutting board that I got when they America's Test Kitchen recommended it and put it on sale, and
That has one of those blood grooves.
Yes, it does. But I swear to God, one year the turkey that I had brined
Overflowed the blood groove.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
it was that moist. My cousin was doing the carving, and he was like, "Holy crap!" And I was like, "Don't worry about it," because it had rested for 20 minutes. I said, "The meat," because I said, "Check the meat. Please tell me it's moist," because turkey can be a pain in the ass because of the size of the bird, and you're needing to foil cover the breast so it doesn't overcook. And I was just, I'm waiting on my meat thermometer, waiting on it, and it's like, don't overcook, you bastard.
So you have a couple different options to heating your tortillas up. You can either heat them up individually and just do that in a nice hot pan that's been lightly greased. Or you can do a bit of the lazy bastard technique.
Nuke them.
Okay, the not quite as lazy but the still fairly lazy bastard technique. Get a stack of them, toss them onto a baking sheet of some sort. I have a nice little pizza plate. Stick that in the oven. You don't want to have your oven over 150 to 200 degrees.
Yeah, just warm them.
Yep. You just want a warm oven. You don't want a hot oven.
Oh, good Lord, no, because they'll get all dry and...
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, if you're trying to make your own tortilla chips,
That's...
you can do a hot oven, but...
Yeah, but you're also going to give them a little spray of oil or something, too.
Yep.
Because otherwise they'll just be splinters.
So now you want to work that meat into the rest of this, turn back up the temperature. And like I said, if you did what I did, and you reserved some of that marinade, this is when you can start scooping some of that back in. Because this marinade does contain habanero and jalapeno, the more that you scoop in, the more spice that this will have. So, if you like it really spicy, go hog wild, throw the entire fucking container in.
Another technical term, entire fucking container.
Yeah. If you wanted a pleasant warming heat, maybe use swimming pool. if you want somewhere in between, add a bit, taste, add a bit, taste, add a bit, taste. The meat always has a good amount of spice to it because it was sitting in that mixture
Yeah.
all night long, just absorbing those flavors. And shit, that meat has been sitting in there since about 2 yesterday, I want to say.
Yesterday afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
So a full 24 hours.
And some change.
Mm-hmm.
And while that's heating back up, again, check to see how much liquid you have, and that's looking nice and saucy. So this does get really saucy, especially if there's a decently long rest while you're cutting the meat.
Mm-hmm.
If,
You got that pan wedged full of food.
yeah, and when you have the pan absolutely just jam-packed. Turn up the heat if you want to boil off that liquid effectively. That works perfectly fine. If you don't care about the liquid, this is good to eat now. The meat has been cooked the rest of the way through, just with a couple moments in the pan. The flavors are beautifully married together. It's going to be good. I'm going to turn up the heat a little bit just to cook off some of that liquid. And then I'm going to take this off and stick it straight into the oven, which is heating the tortillas, so that I can concentrate that cook space on the dessert.
Mm-hmm. It'll just hold it at a lovely temperature.
Yep.
And you won't scald your mouth when you eat it.
Yeah.
Yep. It'll be just... pepper escaped. Now that's fair game to eat up.
Absolutely.
And again, taste the dish at this point. And the way that I tend to taste it is I taste two things specifically. The mushroom and the onion. Because if the mushroom and the onion have enough salt and flavor to them, then the rest of the dish will have enough salt and flavor.
Yeah.
The mushroom especially, because the mushroom tends to be a bit more stubborn
Mm-hmm.
with how it takes on flavor. This does need some additional salt. Helps if I pop the cap off. The problem is I have two salt shakers that look identical.
Mm-hmm.
This one I haven't broken the cap off by accident. This one I have. So I'll think that I grabbed the one with the cap broken off, and it's the one with the cap still on. And again, just kind of give everything a mix anytime you add your seasoning. As you can tell, this just absolutely takes over even a fairly large cast iron. Which is why when I first made up this recipe, it was also when I learned how to flip two cast irons at the same time.
Oh.
Because I just set up two large cast irons on the stovetop. Put half in one, half in the other.
Mm-hmm.
Toss them each at the same time. Mix them. split them back up, toss them, mix, split, toss, mix, split, toss.
Good Lord.
Just to make sure that,
Everything tasted the same between the two pans.
yep,
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had to split things, and that's one of those things where you've ended up tasting what you're making to the point that you feel like you've already eaten the meal. And it's like, well, I guess I'll wait for leftovers.
which is why I mix and then I split and then I toss, and I'll taste in the mixing stage. So I'm not tasting twice every time that I'm having a taste. I'll only taste in the mix. And when they're split, that's just to give them the nice cook.
Yeah.
So now I swapped out my skillet. And now I can actually go just over to camera 2. Swapped out my skillet for a different skillet. This is one of those things that I don't really recommend cooking in a cast iron because it is a son of a bitch to clean.
Oh, good Lord. Yeah, the sugar. Ugh.
Yep.
Super sticky.
It will get really sticky. It will get over the entire pan because...
And then it'll make your chainmail cleaner sticky. Trying to clean it.
Yep. Yeah, it will just really gunk everything up if you don't clean it immediately after using it.
And that's no fun because you want to eat it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. You want it right now.
Instead, I swap out for a non-cast iron skillet, and I give that a couple moments just to heat up because I want it a hot skillet before I start adding in my berry mix, especially since you saw how big this bowl of berry mix is.
Mm-hmm.
So that will plummet the temperature of this skillet if it's not nice and hot to begin with. Now, of course, depending on the type of skillet you need, or you're using rather, you do also need to be mindful of at what temperature does you start to scorch your pan. So you don't want to have it that hot, but you want it to be hot enough.
Is that Calphalon?
That is not. That is a stoneware pan.
Stoneware pan? Okay, I was looking at the handle and I couldn't tell.
Yeah, it's a stoneware. And it is The Rock is the manufacturer.
The Rock?
The Rock. It is The Rock stoneware. I think it might be technically a graniteware or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Particular type. So this one can take a fairly high temp without any issue. It's able to go into the oven unlike a non-stick pan, so I don't have to worry about scorching it as much as if I was using a non-stick. Then again, I don't think I own any non-sticks anymore. I've been phasing those out for a good while. Because I absolutely hate non-stick pans.
I've got a set of Calphalon that I like. They have served me well, but I know what you mean.
And that's what you want to hear when you add this.
Sizzles.
You want to hear that nice, sharp sizzle. Give it a moment to heat up again because, like I said, even with it nice and hot, it's going to dip the temperature with that much stuff getting tossed in.
Yeah.
That's
And
why
in this moment, that,
technically you're not supposed to overcrowd your pan for certain things because of that. Like frying, oh dear Lord, don't overcrowd the pan.
frying,
Yeah.
you don't want to overcrowd.
It'll
If you're
ruin the
trying
food.
to get really nice caramelized onions, but not jammy caramelized onions,
Right.
then you need to make sure that you don't overcrowd.
I've started in a pan, looked at it and said, ruh-roh,
Yep.
and pulled another pan out. I'm always very proud of myself when I do that because I'm like, yay, one more thing to wash.
Yep. Yeah, I've done
Well,
that a good number of times as well.
Well, if you wash it when it's still hot, it's easier.
Well, it depends on, like there's certain things you don't want to hit with water that may not be hot enough.
Yeah.
Certain claddings can give way to that kind of
Use.
hot, cold.
Yeah, that's
But
true.
yeah, I do. I frequently, as soon as I can get the pan cooled, I have a quartz countertop, and that will suck heat out of a pan.
Oh, wow.
So I can, it'll suck heat. It'll also suck cold. It's a great thermal transfer surface. And I, then I wash it. Because while the onions are caramelizing, I can wash a pan.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to stand there and stare at them. I don't ever do that with garlic, though.
Nope, garlic.
The bird is the useless cook, Jack. Or useless rebel.
Yeah,
Maybe.
Eye on garlic because garlic will burn.
Oh yeah,
you look away.
Oh yeah, we've all done it at least once. I would hope because it is a instructional lesson. You smell it by the time you can get to the stovetop. You're like, oh yay, and now my oil's ruined too. And I have a pan to wash.
Mm-hmm.
And now I get to mince more garlic.
And because I just popped over to see what chat was saying, yes, I can smell what the Rock is cooking, and goddamn, it smells delicious.
We can't, though.
Whiskey and fruit.
Yeah.
And beef.
Whiskey, fruit, beef in the oven. Yeah. Oof.
And like I said, those pineapple slices, they are no longer that bright yellow.
They're getting orangey.
Yeah.
Getting an orange, which, depending on how long you cook this down, they will go from orange to a deep red fairly quick. And anything that tries to fall out, that's your fault.
People underestimate the glory of cooked fruit.
Yeah.
It's, like every now and then, like curried fruit.
Ooh.
It's just like a lovely thing. It's not something you want to eat a lot of, but it can be a very, very tasty.
A lot of people didn't even realize that roasted grapes were a thing, though.
I know.
Yeah.
And
What are,
oh, go ahead.
these people call all these people, there are people called, fruitarians, where you eat nothing but fruit.
Mm-hmm.
That I could not do. I love fruit, but I
like meat way too much.
So do I.
I could never, give up steak for a mango steak,
Mm-hmm.
No. No. That's wrong. Now, if you have the mango steak laying under a nice piece of cooked salmon,
Yeah.
then I'm like, well, that's a lovely way to present that. Thank you. But
Or
mango.
a mango steak that is nicely caramelized, sliced up, thrown into some coconut rice.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a lovely side.
Or dessert.
Or a dessert, yeah.
You make it.
Yeah, but it's like bugger being a fruitarian.
Mhm.
I couldn't even be a pescatarian. I like meat too much.
Yeah.
I love fish. I love seafood, but I would most particularly miss beef and pork.
So I'm not going to show the front of this packaging, but I'll show one of the things that I got from the farmer's market while I was there.
And Constant, yes, I put apples in the turkey before.
I got
And I cooked it.
some cottage bacon.
Ooh, lovely. Look at that.
Yep.
Nice.
And also, like I mentioned earlier, one of the other things I was able to get, some Mangalisa pork.
Ooh. That's a nice piece of pork.
Mangalisa pork is one of the varieties that's raised for its fat and raised for its meat. It's goes by a couple different spellings of the same name, and also some people call it the woolly pig.
The what pig?
The woolly pig.
Oh, the woolly pig. Yep. W.R. Costin asking about in their turkey stuffing. Alton Brown's Thanksgiving turkey recipe, his roast turkey,
Yeah.
which wins Food Network's "What's Your Favorite Roast Turkey" prep every year, it seems. He has briefly stewed apple and onion that goes in the cavity of the turkey.
Yeah, that's what I do too, because it's so good.
Yeah, and I mean, you just nuke it.
Yeah.
It's really simple, and his turkey is brined, and
Yeah.
it's the impact of brining the turkey is
Oof.
it's remarkable, the difference.
And it keeps it moist. And
Oh yeah, I mean, you can even overcook it slightly, and it will be moist because of there's just and that brine. His brining recipe is very easy. I've got a cooler that I put a garbage bag in, pour the brine in that, and drop the turkey in and flip it over a couple times. And
Okay, everyone ready for a bit of audience participation? Because, like I said, into this berry mixture is going to go a jam or preserve.
and what do you have on hand?
So, I have a black currant.
Mm-hmm.
There we go, that kind of shows its name. Or, I have a wild raspberry and huckleberry
Huh.
jam.
I would use the raspberry and huckleberry because you've got raspberry in the dish, and it'll just bring the flavor forward.
Works for me. Let's see if chat agrees.
Because I'm not 100% what a currant is exactly, though, so I never had one.
I've had a habanero golden currant
Uh,
jelly, but there is I can't remember the name of the preserve company now that does a 4-berry. It comes in a narrow glass bottle that is freaking out of this world.
And to comment on something that Wikipedia said, yes, pink salt is curing salt, and if I remember correctly, it is potassium nitrate. Though it might be potassium nitrite, but I think it's nitrate.
either or.
And as I said, those pineapple chunks go a deep red.
Yeah, from the
Really
berries.
soon with that preparation because
I bet that mix would be great on cheesecake too.
That is not pineapple yellow. And yeah, this goes great on pretty much any dessert that a berry topping would work on.
Yeah.
I put it on ice cream. I put it on those little angel food cups.
Oh, like strawberry shortcake. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I put it on a score of different things, and it's just absolutely goddamn ridiculous. So at this point, when it's cooked down a fair bit, and when it reaches the point where you can just absolutely coat a spoon, that's when I start adding in a little bit of the preserve of choice.
Nice.
And I didn't see anyone say the raspberry huckleberry jam. So we're going to go for some of that raspberry huckleberry jam. You want to get a good sized glob of it into the center. Put the rest of this jar away. Don't forget to. And then you want to work that in. It'll start to melt down into the rest of the sauce.
Nice.
I finally found it at St. Dalfor.
Oh,
The-
yes.
They make a marvelous four-berry that would probably be really good in something like that too.
Yep, I've used that one back.
It's pretty splendid, like Bon Maman stuff is too. There's some really TOS voted for the raspberry too. Yay!
Yep. Love to see that.
Hey,
Though now, if anyone tries to naysay
Too late now.
a huckleberry, it's a bit too late for that because it's already been added in, and it is already being dissolved into the bubbling mass that is this.
everybody's calling for raspberries. Are we supposed to go while you're doing that?
Amazing bits.
Have the Bronx cheer.
Yeah, that's what I. Blowing raspberries.
Okay.
So yeah, just keep mixing that in until it is fully incorporated. And once it's fully incorporated, this dish is pretty much done.
Man, that looks just sinful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I said, once you can, I can even coat a spoon in passing.
You're just being cruel now, man.
Just look at how much sticks to that spoon.
I'm just imagining the lovely dark note that whiskey is giving it.
Pour it over.
Oh yeah.
Whiskey or brandy, and a good one you would drink.
Yep.
But actually, you could do it with port. You could do it with a lot of things because port and fruit go together well.
Like I said, pretty much whatever your preferred alcohol is.
That would be so good as a little compote served beside a cheese course.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I made a glaze out of red wine a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
Add just a little bit more pectin, and it's just this ridiculous jam that you can.
Oh yeah.
Hey, Cryptic.
Whiskey jam.
So that has completely melted in. And this is looking beautiful. So now going to go off. And the last bit of this is letting it cool down just enough to be spooned over some ice cream.
Without the ice cream immediately just going to cream.
Mm-hmm.
You should take a waffle taco shell and you make it, a choco taco.
Mm-hmm. And then
That would be so good poured over pound cake or sponge cake too.
like
Yeah.
I said, you do those
Just,
little
yeah.
cups of angel food, or
I would be tempted to let that thing cool and use it in a trifle.
yep,
Especially because, you're making whipped cream, just make a custard instead. And it's just like sponge, custard, fruit, sponge, fruit, custard, whatever order you want to put it in.
Yeah, make it cut.
Yeah. Nom, 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 nom. Have you ever added a little lemon zest to that?
to the berry mix.
Uh-huh.
Yes, I've also added some lime juice
Yeah.
to tie it a little bit more in with the.
The Mexicali Rose themed of tonight.
So add in like cream. And let's see, what type do I want tonight?
Excuse me.
A bit of vanilla.
I've been munching on pumpkin seeds that I roasted myself.
Ooh, neat.
Very nice.
Yeah. Well, I made a pumpkin stew the other day, so
Mmm.
out of fresh pumpkin.
There we go. There's the other thing I was looking for. Malt.
Oh, you're going to make a malted cream?
A malted whipped cream, vanilla, and probably pour in a little bit of whiskey into this as well.
I
Just
don't think I've ever heard of molten milk before.
so add in a fair bit of powdered sugar right away.
Mm-hmm.
Cryptic. Yes, we like sweet cryptic.
And then just start
Clatter, 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 bang, 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 clatter.
Yep. Well, making whipped cream, you can't do that without any clatter.
Yeah.
The fun thing about fruit desserts is regardless of what's done alongside them,
Mm-hmm.
people just for whatever reason are thinking it's more virtuous.
Yep.
Because I'm eating fruit, and it's like you're eating fruit that's been macerated in enough sugar to rot your teeth.
But it's fruit.
Yeah, but it's good for you. Uh-huh.
Better sugar.
Especially with whiskey in it.
Add some honey,
Well, whiskey, as has been reported time and again in history, is supposed to have some medicinal properties.
Mm-hmm.
Just like Guinness was a health tonic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of health tonics had alcohol in them. You didn't care that you were sick.
We'll try to put alcohol in NyQuil.
Ah.
Ah, the fun of hand whipping.
Yeah.
I use a stand mixer because I'm lazy.
Yep.
I use a mix. I use a mixer too because I just my wrist will start to ache.
Yeah.
You can use a stand mixer, that's not a problem, but I just have fun doing it the
Old-fashioned way.
old-fashioned, more difficult way.
But you don't churn your own ice cream, do you?
Not currently. I'm planning on...
You're planning on starting.
Yeah.
Why did I not see that coming? Really, I mean,
It's one of the things that I actually have on my Christmas list is a hand crank churn for ice cream,
I use electric.
so that I can do it entirely manually while getting a nice texture.
I have a few ice cream videos on my channel right now too, so.
Okay, so as I said in one of my other videos, when I did whipped cream, the whipped cream videos, surprisingly enough, I know, shocking that in the whipped cream video I give the tips for how to make whipped cream. Once it starts to reach this point where it's starting to loosely come together, that's when you can start adding in your flavoring. So I'm using some vanilla. You don't want to add too much vanilla when you're using vanilla extract,
oh no.
because suddenly your whipped cream that's supposed to have a nice, pleasant vanilla flavor is the most vanilla thing to have ever been vanilla.
Yeah, it's actually almost bitter.
Yeah. And add in my malt powder. The only thing that you wouldn't want to add at this point is, like I said, I'm probably going to turn this into a whiskey whipped cream. And you don't want to add whiskey yet, or any really liquidy ingredients that you'll add in any
Until you've gotten some peaks.
quantity, until you're at least at this step. But I tend to whip a bit further than this before I actually start adding liquid.
Yeah, you want a little peaking. Just
Well, I already have,
yeah.
but I do it a little bit further because making it a bit firmer of a whipped cream right now is really easy.
Mm-hmm. And it becomes a pain in the ass if you add more liquid in.
So at this point, where it is firm whipped cream, that's when I'll add in my whiskey.
And what whiskey are you using, dear sir?
Same that I use for my maceration. Jameson, triple distilled, as is always. That's actually one of the defining features of Irish whiskey. Because, do you know how many times American whiskey is distilled?
No.
It is a single distilled whiskey. Do you know how many times Scotch is distilled?
I don't know.
It tends to be a double. Irish is a triple.
Do it 3 times because they can.
Might as well.
Let me add a splash more. There we go. And just get this whipped back up to its proper peaks. And there we go. A nice firm whipped cream. There's a malted whiskey vanilla whipped cream. Which is really the reason why you make whipped cream.
Mm-hmm.
You don't make whipped cream to make the same type of whipped cream that you can easily get.
Yeah.
You do it to go that little bit further. Or in this case, a lot further.
I actually kind of like frozen whipped cream.
Oh, I've done that a number of times.
Yeah.
It is good. So now then, let me start plating up the various components of this meal. So I can show you guys all what this looks like when it's put together. And I think that'll be a good point to do a final bit of spiel. And
Then go stuff your pie hole.
So any questions or comments on anything that I've done thus far? The hows and whys,
I think, I mean, for as long as I've been here, you have been explaining it in the perfect amount of detail.
Yeah.
wherefores and whats.
Yep, very easy to follow.
Excuse me.
Well, Gesundheit.
Okay. I'll plate this up in such a way to not look entirely gluttonous.
Well, Jack wants to know if you ferment your own pickles.
Oh, I've done my own pickles several times.
Fermented them? That's an interesting way of, fermenting your own pickles.
I mean, I made pickled apples before. Jack, you want to check that out?
Ferments
Yeah.
the pickles? I mean, seriously? Is that like making kimchi out of pickles?
Well, technically, all pickling is
Fermentation of some kind.
fermentation.
Yeah.
But yes, I've made my own pickles several times. In fact, I explained how to make a very quick and dirty cold pickle.
Yeah, refrigerator pickles.
Yep. And I did that when I did my how to make onigiri episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The pickled onions. Onions.
Yep, the pickled green onion. Let's get some meat in this. There we go.
So what Jack is saying is some pickles are made with vinegar, some are fermented.
Well, the kosher ones are usually fermented.
Yes. You can do some that are vinegar. You can do a fermented pickle that also uses vinegar, which tends to be the way that a lot of pickles are made. But you can do an entirely fermented pickle where it has no vinegar in the start.
You should probably switch cameras.
I'm going to be coming over to the table here in a moment.
Okay.
That's why I kept this one the focus, since this is just plating up, and I'm sure you guys don't need an explanation on how to plate up.
Did you cook your tortillas first?
Those were in the oven.
Okay. Oh, you didn't do it on the grill?
Like I said, you can do it that way if you're doing a smaller number
Yeah.
at any given time. You can do them individually in just a hot pan, very lightly greased.
No, my stepmom used to have this thing right on the stove for cooking tortillas.
Ah, nice. And then throw some cheese on this. to the next one. Throw some more cheese on. Flip to the next one. And I am terrible at stuffing these to the proper amount. Every fajita I make is overstuffed.
Yeah.
And then I need to plate up my ice cream as well.
So you can have lunch for a few days, huh?
Oh yeah, this, as I said, I am terrible at making this in any reasonable portions. So this becomes, I have a fajita omelet the next day, and then I have quesadillas with this in it, and then I'll have fajita nachos.
Oh, that's a way to use it up.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Multiple meals. You...
Ice cream plated up. There's one. I got these little fucking bastard ice creams that are a pain in the ass to plate, but I didn't need. And Jack wants me to do a third camera somehow. Are you not entertained with two?
I could barely afford the one. So.
Okay, so get this one plated up as well, and then get my sauce on top.
Ow.
Hmm?
Oh.
I just watched a play in football that causes me an ow. Yeah, the corner or free it was behind, was in front of the receiver, and when the receiver tried to pull in the ball around his head, he ended up wrapping his arms around his neck, and when they both went to the ground, his knee was in his back too.
Ow.
Yeah, so he was bent backwards with his head being pulled back. That kind of ow. Give me a minute.
Let's go entirely to camera one.
Mm.
And now then this just needs a nice dollop of that malted vanilla whiskey whipped cream.
You're killing me, dude.
Yeah.
Just right on top like that. So normally I wouldn't plate this up next to my fajitas. I'd wait until after. But I have to show you guys the full meal, don't I?
Yeah.
You just pop in the freezer for a while, you know.
And then also have to give you guys the impression of what this tastes like. So give it a couple bites.
Yeah, because you just have to torture us.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You have to come on, but, you know.
I know. We weren't forced. This is voluntary torture.
Yeah.
That beef is absolutely delicious.
It looks magnificent.
With just the perfect amount of heat for me. One thing that you can also do if you like it really damn spicy is at this point you can use some of that reserved marinade as a salsa.
Yay! Yeah, you could.
See. I love cilantro, but if I eat too much of it, I break out in hives.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah.
So then I advise you definitely do not do that.
Yeah.
But for those who don't have that problem and like cilantro, it doesn't taste like soap to you, and you like things spicy, spoon some of that on top of this like it's a salsa. It'll just amp up all the flavors again and add another level of spice. But to me, that's a perfect level of spice in there.
Looking yummy.
Just enough to get my lips and throat to burn slightly as I eat it. In that deliciously satisfying way. So this was still fairly warm when I put it over, which is why it's kind of gooping here.
Yeah, but that's all right.
But this is absolutely delicious goop.
It'll just be ice cream soup.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make it cereal?
No.
I know.
Nope, though you can add a couple different types of cereal that would add a nice crunch. So
Yeah. Got some Lucky Charms with the marshmallows.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
was thinking more like a cornflake, crush it up, add some brown sugar and a couple other ingredients into it. Toss it in, make a bit of a crispy, crunchy top. Crunch that on top. Oh.
yeah, that'd be pretty tasty.
Mm-hmm.
Little cornflake strudel topping.
Yeah.
The ice cream in this is just a real simple, slow churned vanilla. But those berries, it doesn't matter what type of berry you get on your spoon, you taste all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
You get just a hunk of pineapple, and you taste the strawberries and the raspberries.
You can stop now, okay? Now you're just being cruel.
Yeah.
That whiskey in it
Oh, God.
just adds a nice
Warm
bracing
note.
element to it and warm note to it that is backed up by the whiskey and the whipped cream.
I swear to God, I better never meet you in real life. I'm gonna get somebody to kneecap you. It's just
Did
It
you-
doesn't work very well. I've been kneecapped already.
I know.
First guy took out his shoulder on my knee.
Yeah, it's still that looks marvelous.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I took a bat for. You know.
Plus, don't you want to meet me? That way you could have this food.
Well, yes, there's that. I just have this feeling that I'm going to draw the lot for cleanup duty, and it's going to take me 4 years to clean it up.
So, any questions or anything like that about this food? Anything that you want a bit more detail on, or was confusing why I did something?
Everything was straightforward, but
Yeah.
let's ask chat. Wikipedia, Jack, TOS, anybody got any questions? Other than about delivery?
I mean, DoorDash delivers.
Jack has more of a comment. Sanguine gets kneecapped. No, I still need to finish braising.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would be pretty much it. I'll go see to this later. There's food to be finished.
Well, I tore my shoulder and
Yes.
pulse was completely off the bone. And I went to my birthday dinner before I went to the hospital.
Of course you did. Because there are priorities in this world.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Food always comes first.
The hospital would be open after I went to dinner.
Yes, that's true.
My dinner wouldn't be open if I went to the hospital first. So I
Yeah.
made my choice, and I was happy with it.
Happy birthday to you. No, that looks splendid, Sanguine. Thank you for sharing this and your recipes with us, because it's good eats.
And like I said, this is one of my earliest recipes. Each step is pretty simple because I figured this out when I had absolutely no experience.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just good, simple, honest food.
And I swear to God, that flank steak's one of the biggest I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, yeah. I saw that monster and I was going, what the fuck? I have to get this one.
Yeah. Well, you've got, considering your schedule this week is going to be more erratic than usual, you have all kinds of lovely leftovers to play with in any way you want. That's why it can really be worth it to cook a metric fuck ton, yes, that is a technical term, of food like on Sunday, because you're set until Thursday.
Though, like I said, most of this will go into non-dinner meals.
Well, yeah, because you treat dinner as dinner's your video stuff, man.
And the only other comments that have been made recently are this video to torture starving third world suspected terrorists.
Yeah.
Or to use if they go on hunger strike. I'm perfectly fine with that. But it doesn't look like anyone has any questions, so...
That's a good sign of a well-explained video, dear.
That's my hope. With that, do you guys say goodbye to the...
Bye, lovely people.
Yep.
Bye, lovely food.
Later, guys. Watch my videos, too.
And I'll leave off with my standard. Explore food. Try different things. Enjoy your food. Enjoy your life.
Oh, yeah.
And with that, have a good one all.
Goodbye.
Have fun.